All right, let's talk about scaling policies. So there are three main categories of scaling policies for the auto-scaling group. The first category is the dynamic scaling policies. Here we have simple scaling, and what that is basically just saying if a certain metric, which are specified in CloudWatch metrics, and we'll talk about that later in the course, but if a certain metric, such as average CPU utilization, goes above or below a certain threshold, then do a certain action, like add a certain number of instances or remove a certain number of instances. And here we can see an example. This is average CPU utilization. As you can see, it's spiking at certain points in time. So here our threshold would be 80%. So as soon as it goes above, the average CPU utilization goes above 80%, then a new instances will be added to the auto-scaling group to ensure that the average CPU utilization is kept below 80%. The next type of scaling policy in this category is step scaling. It's a bit more elaborate than simple scaling. Here you can say if average CPU utilization is above 90%, then add 8 instances. If it is between 80 and 90%, add 4 instances. And if it is above 60% but below 80%, then add 2 instances. So as you can see, you have a bit more control and you can define certain steps. If it's above 60%, then it's a bit of a concern. If it's above 80%, that's okay, really bad, and we need to add 4 instances. If it's above 90%, that's critical, and we need to add a lot of instances to avoid our application from failing. The next type is target tracking, and here you can just say something like maintain average CPU utilization at 80%, and AWS will do that for you. The next category, the second category, is predictive scaling policies. And these use historical data to make predictions about the future. And then they will scale the auto scaling group size to ensure the predictions meet your target. So you could again say the target average CPU utilization that I want to have is 80%. So before it goes up or down, unlike in target tracking, if it goes above 80%, then certain things will be done to change the situation. But here, you are expecting AWS to predict what will happen, and before it happens, AWS will take precautionary measures, so increase the number of instances to avoid the target being breached, so the average CPU utilization going over 80%. And the last category are the scheduled actions. These are quite straightforward. You can set a minimum, maximum, and desired capacities for your auto-scaling group. You can do this as a single or recurring action, like a scheduled single or a scheduled recurring action. For example, every Monday at 8 a.m., set the minimum to 2, max to 10, and desired to 7. You'd want to do that if you know that you have an enterprise application. For instance, you have an enterprise application that a lot of people in your organization use, and just before they get to work and start working on Monday at 8:30, 9 a.m., you want to increase the number of instances servicing this enterprise application so that your system is ready for the increased demand. You already know there will be a spike in demand at that time. And then on the Friday, just after people leave for home, you don't need that many instances running this application over the weekend. So you can set this to min 1, max 4, and desired equals to 1. So there you go. That's how scaling policies differ. And these are the things that can come up on the exam. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, enjoy the cloud.